Have you ever wondered what it truly means to be human? Our fragile yet complex bodies are one of nature's greatest enigmas. For most of us, illness is synonymous with weakness, pain, or limitation. But what if I told you that there are rare conditions that challenge this notion, that transform ordinary individuals into something extraordinary, almost superhuman? Imagine living without fear, without pain, or being able to recall every second of your life with impossible clarity. These conditions exist, but not everything is as incredible as it seems. Behind abilities that sound like superpowers lie stories of struggle, adaptation, and mystery. 8. Extraordinary abilities in anything. The savant syndrome, particularly in cases of acquired savants, mirrors the journey of Dr. Strange, who discovers extraordinary abilities after a traumatic event. Just as the Marvel hero unlocks hidden powers following an accident, these individuals develop exceptional talents in areas like music, mathematics, or visual arts, often suddenly and almost magically. It's as though the trauma unlocks latent capacities that were dormant. However, while savants exhibit remarkable brilliance in specific fields, they often face significant challenges in other aspects of life, making their superpower both a gift and a daily struggle. Savant syndrome is a rare condition often associated with developmental disorders such as autism or Asperger's syndrome. Individuals with this condition display extraordinary talents in fields like music, drawing, complex calculations, cartography, and even constructing 3D models. For instance, savants can instantly compute the results of complex 3-digit multiplications or tell you the day of the week for May 5th in the year 3017. A particularly notable case is that of Stephen Wiltshire, a British artist with savant syndrome. He famously drew an accurate map of London after a single helicopter ride over the city. While many call savants geniuses, and they are partly right, there's more to the story. Despite their incredible abilities in specific areas, savants often face severe difficulties in other aspects of life, such as communication or daily tasks. Their lives are a delicate balance of brilliance and challenge, making their abilities as fascinating as they are complex. Number 7. Supermemory. This condition is known as hyperthymesia, a rare memory alteration that allows a person to recall every detail of their life with stunning clarity. Only about 60 people worldwide are known to possess this unique ability. Imagine being able to remember any day of your life in perfect detail, what you wore, the conversations you had, even the headlines of the day. People with hyperthymesia can recite long passages from books they read years ago or relive moments from their earliest childhood with vivid accuracy. Sounds incredible, right? A gift? Not exactly. For those living with hyperthymesia, it's more of a curse than a blessing. They can't forget anything, not painful, embarrassing, or traumatic moments they'd rather leave behind. Their memories are unchanging, vivid, and ever-present. Take Rebecca Sharrock, for example. She's an Australian writer with hyperthymesia who has described remembering being wrapped in a pink blanket when she was just 7 days old. 7 days! She can recite entire passages from the Harry Potter series without missing a single word. Despite her extraordinary memory, Rebecca doesn't see it as a superpower. Her condition leaves her battling constant headaches, insomnia, and extreme fatigue. Number 6. Insensitivity to pain. Insensitivity, known as congenital analgesia, sounds like something straight out of a superhero universe, akin to characters like Wolverine, whose resistance to pain is part of his impressive regeneration abilities. However, unlike the fictional mutant, people with this condition do not possess accelerated healing, turning their invulnerability into something dangerous. Without the ability to feel pain, they may suffer severe injuries like broken bones or deep cuts, without realizing it, allowing damage to worsen silently. It's like having an invisible armor that doesn't actually protect against all risks, showing that even what seems like a superpower has its dark consequences. This syndrome doesn't affect the mental abilities or physical appearance of those who have it. However, the inability to feel pain goes beyond impressive. It's extremely dangerous. Normally, our bodies alert us to problems by sending signals in the form of pain, but a person with congenital analgesia cannot hear these distress calls. This condition is especially hazardous for young children. They might injure themselves while playing, damage their corneas unknowingly, bite the tips of their tongues, or fail to notice a broken bone. Without pain as a warning, these injuries can quickly escalate. Still think it's cool? Number 5, the vampire disorder. This condition has a mouthful of a scientific name: hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia. Despite the technical term, the popular description of this disorder is much simpler and eerier. People with this condition often have unnervingly sharp teeth, resembling the iconic blood-sucking creatures from horror movies. Those with more pronounced symptoms are typically extremely thin, pale, with deep-set eyes encircled by dark rings. Their teeth are naturally sharp, they lack hair, and, just for the record, probably don't enjoy steaks, whether wooden or the meaty kind. Jokes aside, the challenges faced by individuals with this condition are far more serious than their resemblance to vampires. They must constantly monitor their body temperature, avoid direct sunlight, and steer clear of hot climates. Why? People with hypohidrotic ectodermal dysplasia lack sweat glands, the crucial mechanism that regulates body temperature. Without this function, overheating becomes a very real and dangerous threat. Interestingly, this condition has inspired many vampire legends. A notable example is actor Michael Berryman, who has this disorder and leveraged his distinct appearance to build a successful career playing characters in horror films. Now you know where some of those vampire myths may have originated, right? Number 4. Total absence of fear. Urbach-Rieger disease is a rare genetic disorder that causes a complete absence of fear. Only about 300 cases have been documented worldwide, with roughly a quarter of them reported in South Africa. The most famous individual with this condition is known as the woman who knows no fear. To protect her identity, researchers refer to her as SM. Scientists conducted various experiments to scare her, using tactics such as handing her venomous snakes and spiders, making her watch horror films, and even locking her in a haunted house. Nothing worked. SM has recounted harrowing events from her life that failed to frighten her, being held at knife point in a park at night, surviving a domestic violence incident that nearly killed her, yet she continued living her life as if nothing had happened. The lead researcher on her case was astonished to learn that SM was still alive, given her inability to perceive danger. The lack of fear may sound like a superpower, but in reality, it's an unnerving and risky condition that leaves her vulnerable to situations most of us would instinctively avoid. Chilling, isn't it? Number 3, people with tentacles. Polymelia is a rare and peculiar disorder where individuals are born with an unusual number of limbs. In some cases, these extra limbs are functional, while in others they're not. Now imagine, would you be excited to have an additional arm or leg that doesn't work? Probably not. But what if it were several extra limbs? One particularly astonishing case in Pakistan involved a baby born with 6 legs. The cause, a parasitic twin. This condition can affect various parts of the body: legs, arms, fingers, and in some rare instances even genitalia. While surgeries to remove these extra limbs are possible, not everyone opts for them. Believe it or not, some people find the extra digits, especially fingers, useful and hesitate to part with them. It's a fascinating blend of medical anomaly and personal choice. Number 2, Stone Man Syndrome. The Stone Man Syndrome, or fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, FOP, brings to mind the Thing from the Fantastic Four, whose body is encased in a rock-like shell. Similar to the fictional hero, individuals with FOP experience a unique transformation as soft tissues in their bodies calcify, turning into bone. However, unlike the superhero, this natural armor doesn't grant additional strength or resilience, but leads to a gradual loss of mobility and functionality. This genetic disorder progresses over time, with muscle, ligaments, and connective tissue turning into bone due to a mutation in the ACVR1 gene, which regulates tissue development. The result? Muscles and joints become ossified, severely limiting movement. Attempts to surgically remove the excess bone only worsen the condition, as the body reacts by producing even more bone in the affected area. While the syndrome is incredibly rare, affecting just 1 in 2 million people, there is currently no cure, making it one of the most devastating conditions imaginable. Number 1, Werewolf Syndrome. Do you get frustrated by unwanted hair sprouting in odd places? Take a deep breath. It could be worse, much worse. People with hypertrichosis suffer from excessive hair growth across their entire body, including thick patches covering their faces. This condition, often referred to as werewolf syndrome, is thought to be caused by a genetic mutation. Interestingly, there have been cases where hair growth treatments for baldness triggered this condition. So, be careful what you wish for. While traditional hair removal methods like waxing, shaving, or laser treatments can help, the results are only temporary. Maintenance becomes a never-ending battle as the hair keeps coming back, reminding us how truly complex and fascinating the human body can be.